Okay, well, getting about ready to wrap it up there. Kind of a long video, but again, it's 3 guitars, and it's not like I could just, do a review or kind of do a guitar and then do the other one and then do another one. I kind of had to lay them all out at the same time, because you got, the whole point of the video is to kind of compare the differences between them, so I had to have them all in one spot at the same time to, video the headstocks, and the same thing with the knob positioning and just everything else, so it took a lot more time. It was, like actually doing 3, reviews in one, except even more so, because again, you're not just, reviewing the guitar, you're reviewing it and comparing every little aspect to it to the one next to it. So hopefully it was worth the wait. And I didn't even include unboxing footage. I mean, I got unboxing footage of me taking them out of the boxes too, so that never managed to make it in there, so you're like, thank God. Anyways, before I get into wrapping up the video, speaking of cheap guitars, I did want to make a mention about these cases here. This particular case is the Glary brand, and I think there's some other brands that these cases fall under as well. But you can get these things on eBay and Amazon for around $60, plus or minus a little bit shipped. Can't really beat that deal. It's nice to have cases. A lot of people don't like them because they're definitely imperfect in a lot of ways. But if you need to ship a guitar or you need to transport one, they really are nice to have laying around. And I would also venture to say that these here probably are some of the better cases and the best bang for your buck in a guitar case, because these are actually designed to fit, the Les Paul style body. So they fit in here good. They don't flop around like your standard guitar cases. So regular guitar cases, the problem with most of them is the guitar just does not fit in there perfectly like it's supposed to in a generic case. But because of these being shaped the way they are, these are actually pretty good cases here. Like I said, you really can't beat them for the money. You might want to put your own neck support down here, because the neck support on these things, depending on whether you've got a Chibson or an Epiphone or a Gibson, or maybe another brand that's got a different neck angle, you might want to put your own kind of neck padding and neck support here. But otherwise, like I said, you really can't complain for the price on these things. So just kind of mentioning that because, like I said, when you start getting an accumulation of guitars and they start building up, it's really nice to have cases for them if you need to ship them or transport them. And also, they display very nice in a case. When you look at a guitar, when someone puts a guitar case in front of you, or when you open up a guitar, there's just sort of that little, that anxiousness when you're opening it up, and then you see it in there, and it's just kind of a nice way to present one. I guarantee you more guitars are probably sold when someone sees them laying there all nice in a case than if they're just hanging on a rack. That's just kind of my opinion, but nevertheless, I'm going to finish this up here real quick, and we'll come back and wrap up the video. Okay, well, I'm ready to wrap it up, I think, and hopefully it was informational. Hopefully it's something that people will come back to in the future and take a look at, just for the informational purposes. Like I said before, in the description, I'm going to put some links, because there's some other really great videos. There's some really good videos that have just come out in the last year or so. There's another one by a guy, there's a particularly good one that's just out a couple months ago. I think Fulton Street Beats is the name of his channel. Excellent, excellent video. He's a good channel in general. The guy really knows what he's talking about. But anyways, check him out for sure. And like I said, I will put links to a bunch of other Chibson Gibson videos in the description. I think the oldest one I found was like 14 years old, so just kind of interesting. If you're really into this kind of stuff or researching it, or you just kind of start binge watching or geeking out on it, try and have as much information on all these things in one place, I guess. So having said that, what's my general opinion of these things? Pretty good compared to the things that the kids were playing and that we had, in the 70s or the 80s or even the 90s for the money. Yeah, I mean, it's not even close. The biggest problem with guitars back then, it's never been the hardware, because the hardware's always been, replace the hardware. The real thing has usually been the quality of the body. Are you going to have problems with the bridges and stuff pulling out? And then when you get the thing that really started making it crappy was when you started getting into the 80s and the whammy bars, the tremolos and stuff started becoming really popular. you get a really cheap, crappy version of that, and then you start having a lot of problems. Then the quality of your fasteners, the quality of the parts, the quality of the wood, that all starts coming into play a lot more than if you just got a hardtail or just, you know, something like that. So that kind of started causing, you know, a chain of crappy guitars, because you had guitars that were just, you know, not really even set up to be very playable at all. So yeah, compared to all that kind of stuff, these and pretty much everything else you get nowadays are golden, because they've learned enough about manufacturing them, and you've got enough CNC machinery, and you've got enough people that have been doing it long enough that know what they're doing. So you know, they've learned a lot about curing wood, drying wood, how long it takes. That's just all kinds of stuff that really was not into cheap or inexpensive guitar making a long time ago. Do I feel like these things are over and above the quality of everything else? No, not really. Do I feel like these are any better than an Epiphone maybe? No, not really, but that's going to depend on the year of Epiphone, and that's going to depend on, that depends on a lot with an Epiphone. Newer Epiphones are expensive. Like I said, it's like $6.99 for your base one, and then $12.50 if you want some kind of a less polished like copy. And that's a lot of money. Your probably best bet is to find a used one, because you can find used ones for $300 or $400. You know, probably your best bet if you're really on a budget is to look for an Epiphone Studio. Find a really nice one of those. You're going to have to do it hands-on, because buying that kind of stuff online is a real crapshoot when you're talking about like a used Epiphone. Do I feel like they are getting so good that they're difficult to distinguish from a real Gibson? No. You know, if your buddy is like 10 yards away from you at the swap meet and he's holding one of these up and he's like, hey, is this good? You know, you're probably going to have to walk over there and look at it. It might not be obvious from, you know, a distance that... But anybody that knows anything about, you know, real Gibsons, or certainly anybody that's got enough wherewithal or the ability to take off the electronics covers or the truss rod covers, or, you know, you'll figure it out. So you're not going to fool anybody unless somebody's, you know, already trying to work somebody. And in that case, you know, once somebody marks you, they don't have to have a guitar at all. So you know, that's kind of the way that goes. So I don't really think they're... I'm not saying that there haven't been people that have been fooled by them, but you know, you can, whoever was going to fool those people with one of these, you know, would have used something else at some point. So, and also, again, these guitar manufacturers, I think they're becoming corporate conglomerations, and I think they're all getting a little bit greedy now. They're all starting to try and go back and trademark and copyright and do this and that to stuff that's been around forever. And you know, you really kind of have to wonder if it's in America's best interest, if that's really who their interest is for. But one can only hope, right? So having said that, and having bought 3 of these things, if I had to do over again, would I have just, you know, bought an Epiphone or something? I mean, I don't know. I mean... If it was for my own personal use and I just had a time machine or something, would I go back in time and just buy an Epiphone and be done with it? Yeah. Sure. But, you know, that's not the case, and if I would have done that, then I wouldn't have bought one of these, which would have led me to buy another one, and then I wouldn't have wound up with a third, and then there wouldn't have been a video. So, you know what I mean? So, that's just kind of how that sort of works. So, I really can't complain about these things. I think they're pretty cool for the money, but I don't think they're putting a dent in the economy or in the country. I don't think they're going to fool too many people into thinking they're real Gibsons. And while they're good guitars, I don't think anybody that's playing Gibsons or Epiphones is going to feel outdone by these either, unless you just happen to have one that was just, you know, poorly made. So. Anyways, with that, Epiphone getting the free pass, that's okay. They've been around for a long time. They're a great company, can't complain. They make great stuff. As I said before, you know, if I had a time machine and could go back and get the Epiphone, I might just do that. But then, again, if I would have done that, then I wouldn't have got the first Chibson, which wouldn't have turned into the second Chibson, which wouldn't have turned into the third one. And then we wouldn't have had the 3 Chibsons video, and, you know, we wouldn't be standing here where we are now. So. I think I can explain that.